The visual analysis of art begins from the time you arrive at the museum. Walking into the Walters Art Museum, the architecture of the main corridor is filled with Roman-style column structures that go up to the ceilings. The staircase is made of steep marble that leads you up to the second floor. The interior architecture foreshadows the subject matter of the Christian Martyr's Last Prayer painting.
When you first approach Jean-Léon Gérôme's The Christian Martyr's Last Prayer, you can see that it is a relatively big-size painting since it is 34 inches high and 59 inches wide. This is an oil-on-canvas work done by Gérôme in 1883. When first looking at the painting as a whole, you can see the setting takes place in some sort of Roman Colosseum, and there is a group of people huddled up in the right of the painting. The people are in the action of the prayer. The lion is at the action of stalking the people, ready to satisfy his hunger. Bodies burn in the close background, while at the same time hundreds of thousands of spectators look on.
As we begin to analyze the painting, we can see thematic elements that are embedded in the painting. These elements are those of death, execution, human violence, and a strong religious connotation. Looking at the foreground, we can see very smooth, detailed brushstrokes used by the artist. These precise brushstrokes aid in the action of the lion, as he is almost stuck in his tracks, looking directly at the group of people. There is a texture developed in the sand, as we can see the markings from the chariot wheels. The attention to detail makes it easy to make out the human figures huddled up on the right side.
In the background, we can see a contrast of light and dark. The figures on the crucifixion are covered in dark ash as they are being burned alive. The lighter parts of the bodies are parts unburned, but they still lay lifeless. In the further background, the people in the stands are not shown with any detail. They are just little markings demonstrating that they were massive amounts of people that could come to witness these executions. Over the Colosseum, we see a large city-looking structure that is mistaken as the Roman Empire, but is actually the Acropolis with the Parthenon at the very top.
What is unique about this piece are all the elements Gérôme puts together in this painting. Gérôme combined the size of the Circus Maximus, which was used for chariot racing in ancient Rome, with the interior architecture of the Roman Colosseum, which was used for gladiator battles. On top of that, he added an ancient Greek structure with the Parthenon that embodies religious meaning. During the Roman Empire rule, the Christian religion began to emerge, and the empire led a crusade of persecutions against Christianity. This involved capturing Christians and putting them to death by feeding them to the lions or burning them alive on crucifixes.
The focus of this work is on the Christians huddled up on the right of the painting. This makes the painting asymmetrical and sort of unbalanced, as all of the focus is on one side of the painting. The lion's head also guides our attention, the Christians huddled up in prayer. Again, the use of precise, detailed brushstrokes is brought up again as Gérôme portrays emotion on the face of the Christians. Gérôme embodies this idea of humanism and real, heartfelt human emotion in this piece. We can say he used Renaissance-style detail to capture this human emotion. The strongest emotion is seen in the man in the white robe as he looks up to the sky, most likely God, and asking to be saved. All the Christians huddled up are praying their last moments of life, demonstrating their passion and utter devotion to God and the Christian religion.
Gérôme embodies these themes of death, execution, human violence, and religion through the formal properties and subject matter in this piece of work. Death by wild beasts was a common punishment in ancient Rome, making the subject matter ideal and his description realistic. This painting is Gérôme's representation of Christian persecution and the violence and gruesome nature involved in it. Gérôme is depicting ancient Rome from our popular and religious imagination, which involves the idea of religious enthusiasts holding true to their faith in the last moments of life.
Another artwork that relates to the themes of death, execution, human violence, and religious connotation found in the painting Christian Martyr's Last Prayer is the execution of the Madrilenos on the 3rd of May, 1808, by Francisco in 1814-15, who was horrified by the executions and slaughter of his Spanish countrymen.
Napoleon Bonaparte, a French military and political leader, had formed an alliance with the Spanish King Charles IV in 1807, under the premise to conquer Portugal. However, the alliance proved to be a ruse to allow French soldiers into Spanish borders. On the 2nd of May, 1808, the Spanish rebelled against Napoleon's military force. But on the 3rd of May, 1808, these freedom fighters were massacred by the French army. Goya captured these 2 days in his paintings, the charge of the Mamelukes on the 2nd of May, 1808, and the execution of the Madrileños on the 3rd of May, 1808. We will specifically look at the execution of the Madrileños on the 3rd of May, 1808. Which is an oil on canvas and is 8 feet 10 inches by 11 feet 5 inches. As already mentioned, Christian Martyr's Last Prayer is also an oil on canvas, but is relatively smaller, being only about 3 feet by 5 feet.
The mode of Goya's paint The mood of Goya's painting is very somber. The painting focuses on one main man who is seen illuminated by his white shirt against the only source of light, a lamp which rests on the ground between the French executioners and the captured Spanish resistance who are about to die. Chiaroscuro is evident by the man's white shirt against the dark colors in the rest of the painting. The lantern's light also shines on the hill behind the man and guides the viewer's eye from the top of the hill down to the diagonal slope at the bottom of the hill in the middle of the painting, where the soldiers' guns are located. The viewer is then redirected by a sharp line of the French soldiers' gun barrels pointing directly at the man.
A religious connotation is seen as the man holds his hands up like Christ during his crucifixion, with stigmata noted by the marks on his hands. For both the Spanish and the French, Catholicism is the most prominent religion, where there was no greater hero to them than Christ. So for this man to stand like Christ did, it represents his willingness to sacrifice his life for the good of his country, the good of his fellow man, and the good of his faith. Surrounding this man are other Spaniards, expressing their many emotions when facing death. Some show fear and terror, while others, such as the monk, are praying. This contrasts with the other painting, Christian Martyr's Last Prayer, where the people have accepted their death and are praying in their last moments.
Similar to Jean-Léon Gérôme's Goya, dehumanizes the antagonists in his work. The soldiers are a dark mass of men in a diagonal line on the right side of the painting. They are rigid and ready to fire on command. The stillness of their bodies is depicted by the smooth, detailed brushstrokes. The first 4 soldiers closest to the viewer are more detailed, but the rest behind them fade into the distance, indicating that the faceless soldiers continue seemingly forever. Their bodies, limbs, and guns cause them to seem as if one creature, heartless and unforgiving. There appears to be no end to the slaughter.
Both these works of art encapture the last moments of martyrs, people bravely willing to sacrifice their lives for a greater good, whether it be country or faith, memorializing their loss for generations to come.